All right, guys. Today's notes, or tonight's notes, depending on when you're doing this, are entitled The Declaration of Independence. We're going to get into the nitty gritty on actually what is in this document, this Declaration of Independence, um, and the ideas behind it. We've been talking or looking at the various sides on whether to declare independence, the patriots, the moderates, and the loyalists. Obviously, as we know, the Patriots win this argument at the Second Continental Congress, and eventually there is a Declaration of Independence. So let's see how we got there. Um, so, as fighting is going on between the colonists and the British Army in Massachusetts, the Second Continental Congress is debating whether or not to formally declare independence from Great Britain. So, at the same time fighting is going on in Massachusetts, the Second Continental Congress is debating, and this takes place over several months. It's not like this happened all of a sudden. This took some time. If you remember from last time, they sent a letter to the king, one last petition, in which they tried to reason with King George one last time. That was called the Olive Branch Petition, and there you can see an actual picture of the Olive Branch Petition. When King George rejected their petition and said that they are openly rebelling against the king, Congress decided that it was time to break away. So in June 1776, a man by the name of Richard Henry Lee of Virginia. He is related distantly to Robert E. Lee, who we'll talk about later in this class. Richard Henry Lee proposes that the Second Continental Congress should declare independence. So he puts forward this proposition to the Congress to declare independence. And so a committee is put together to draft what would that formal Declaration of Independence look like. So Lee puts forward the proposal. A committee gathers together to write a draft of the Declaration of Independence, and then that draft would be voted upon by the members of the Second Continental Congress. The committee was made up of several people, most notably Thomas Jefferson and Benjamin Franklin, but Thomas Jefferson is really the one giving the task of drafting the Declaration of Independence. He's the one who writes it. And we need to understand what is influencing Thomas Jefferson's writing when he puts together this Declaration of Independence. He's going to be heavily influenced by some Enlightenment ideas. Some of these we've already talked about. First idea that's really influencing him is the idea of individual rights, that everyone has rights, and that even the government has to respect those rights. Also, the idea of popular sovereignty, that people are the source of government's power. Governments get their power from the consent of the governed. It was not uncommon to hear monarchs, kings, and queens in the history of Europe saying that they got their power from God, that God had decided that they should be kings. Now, with the Enlightenment thinking, the argument is that government gets its power from the consent of the governed. And then another idea that's influencing him is this social contract that we looked at. John Locke is kind of at the heart of this. This idea that it's government's job to protect the rights of the people, and people should obey that government that protects those rights. However, if the government does not protect the rights of the people, then the people have the right to overthrow that government. So Thomas Jefferson writes down some of these ideas in the Declaration of Independence. And Congress voted on independence July 2nd, 1776. They voted and decided they will officially declare independence on July 2nd. However, we celebrate the 4th of July as the Independence Day because it's on July 4th that they officially approved the final version of the Declaration of Independence. So even though, I mean, you could say, shouldn't we be celebrating July 2nd, not July 4th? We celebrate July 4th because that is the day that the Second Continental Congress officially approved that Declaration of Independence. When you look at the Declaration of Independence itself, it has two parts. The first part is called the preamble. This is the opening paragraph of the Declaration of Independence. And in it, Thomas Jefferson is espousing the main beliefs of the colonists. And here we're going to see those Enlightenment ideas coming back. So the preamble says that everyone has natural rights, such as life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That government gets its power from the people, and that if government fails to protect people's rights, then people can get rid of the government and put in a new one. That's that social contract theory. So that's that first paragraph of the Declaration of Independence, the preamble. Then is the list of grievances. So these are the lists of reasons that colonists give in the Declaration of Independence for why they are breaking away from Great Britain. In it, it's a long list, but some of the key points is that Britain has broken up colonial legislatures. Britain has also kept its army in the colonies against the wishes of the colonists. Britain has also imposed taxes on the colonists without their consent. That's that no taxation without representation. And then Britain is waging war on the colonies. As this declaration is being approved, war is being fought in Massachusetts. Okay? So tonight's response question is, why do you think that we, meaning the people of the United States, led by the Second Continental Congress, took the time to actually write down our main beliefs about government? And why do we think we took the time to write down the list of reasons why we were breaking away from Great Britain? Why does this Declaration of Independence have this preamble and list of grievances? Why isn't it just, I declare independence? All right? So type up your response question. Make sure you have your notes printed off and in your binder.